Good morning, watch nerds. Unlike many reviewers, I review watches that cost relatively little right up to luxury watches. Today, I'm reviewing a watch that leans towards the budget side of the market, and I believe this may be one of the best value for money GADA watches on the market. At this point, I should tell you this is available with or without a date window at the 6 o'clock, and it comes in blue and red as well as this gorgeous green. Purchased direct from Watch Dives, the full price is about £200. At the time of making this video, they're on offer for about £150, that's $190 in Donald Trump money. In reality, I don't think anybody's really paid the full price though. And welcome to my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Watch Dives 0005 GADA watch. Apparently this was made in conjunction with San Martin and was produced in the same factory. Now I can't confirm this, but it does sound feasible. It does in actual fact resemble one of their own watches, although there are definite differences, and because it's a fair bit cheaper, there's been a few corners cut, but not too many. I'm going to get it out of the way now, but I hate the brand name. However, the logo is actually quite good, so I'm going to excuse the brand owner on this occasion. Now Watch Dives is also a website that sell other brands, as well as producing their own brand. A bit like Islander watches, I suppose. This is the packaging. It's a nice protective travel pouch with room for just one watch and a few accessories. It's got some nice texturing, it feels quite premium, and to be honest, I've seen packaging that looks far cheaper on watches that cost a lot more. So far, so good then. As usual, let's start with the dimensions. Now the case is 39mm, which is about right for a GADA watch. The lug width is a convenient 20mm. The depth is 12.4mm, which includes a double dome sapphire with AR coating. And the lug to lug is a fraction over 45mm. Now once adjusted to fit my 17cm wrist, it weighs in at 124 grams. Now in my opinion, I think the watch wears the size. Inside is the good old Seiko NH35 automatic movement, which in reality is the only movement anybody actually needs in a watch. It's robust, reliable, and if regulated correctly is surprisingly accurate. If it ever does go wrong, it's cheaper to replace than repair. It's a 3Hz calibre, meaning it ticks away at 21,600 beats per hour, it hacks, hand winds, and it's got a power reserve of 42 hours. These generally arrive running quite accurately, but I have known otherwise. Let's see what this one looks like on the time grapher. And there we are, no complaints there, an excellent beat error, a very good amplitude, and a very good rate. The 5.5mm sign crown screws down to aid the watch's claim 100 metres of water resistance. The knurling is acceptable, operates the movement without issue, and there's very little crown wobble. You should note though, both the dated and undated versions have the same movement, so you do get a ghost position if you buy the undated version. This is something that's never bothered me in the least, but I know we aren't all the same. The case finishing is ridiculously good for a watch of this price. Stop, I'm going to rephrase that. The case finishing is just ridiculously good. The top of the bezel has some circular brushing that leads down to some polished sides. The tops of the lugs are vertically brushed whilst the sides are horizontally brushed. There's a well executed highly polished transition between the top and the side of the case, which wouldn't look out of place on a luxury watch. The case back screws down and it's nicely brushed. It appears though this may be one of the corners that the manufacturers have cut to keep the price down, but as you don't really get to see it when it's on the wrist, I don't suppose it matters. Now have a look at this wonderful dial. I'm not sure quite how to describe it, so I'm just going to call it wavy. Now there's a minute track on the outer, leading into some loom-filled stick indices. The fence post hands are also filled with what I think is BGW9, which I'll get to in a minute. At the 12 o'clock is the Watch Dives logo, and as I've already said, I think it looks really good, with automatic and the water resistance printed above the 6 o'clock. I think they've got the script spot on, which quite often isn't the case with Chinese watches. So back to the lume. It's surprisingly good. I charged it before I went to bed, and 8 hours later it was still pretty legible. So here is the lume. The bracelet is okay, but certainly not the watch's highlight. I would have liked to have seen an H-link or even a Jubilee, but this is a basic brushed oyster. It's far from the best I've ever seen, but it's far from the worst as well. Now it tapers down from 20mm to 18mm, then back up to 19mm for the clasp. Now the good news is it's got quick release spring bars. The bad news is that adjustment is made using push pins, so the use of Loctite is strongly recommended. To be honest, that doesn't really bother me too much. It's just what people have got used to, I suppose. Never mind, the Swiss still use this method on watches costing 10 times as much. I should also mention that it's got female end links, which helps the watch sit nicely on the back of the wrist. The clasp is half milled. It's got 2 pushers for release. It's nicely brushed and it's signed, and there are 5 micro adjustments. Of course, an on-the-fly clasp would have been nice, but let's not forget how much this cost. So what do I think of the Watch Dives 0005 GADA watch? Well, it's a cracking looking watch with excellent specifications for the price. It's fair enough to say I would have swapped the quick release spring bars for screw links. I would have liked an H-link bracelet, and some deep etching on the caseback would have been a bonus as well. All these things, well, they're quite minor though, and it shouldn't stop anybody considering one of these. It really is an attractive watch, with a stunning case, a reliable movement, and despite my little moan, the bracelet and clasp are actually quite acceptable. So would I recommend it? Of course I would. Will I be keeping it? Who knows? Now that brings me to the end of this review, so if you've enjoyed it, please click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, or I'll send the lads round. Leave your comments below, and enjoy the rest of your day.